Hi, welcome to Shelf Starters. Today we're reading Sir Orfeo by Unknown.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi, Rosie. Yes, by unknown. But I guess what's the interesting thing is where the story is held. Did you read a little bit about that collection?
The actual collection itself? No, I didn't. You want
Yeah.
to tell us about that?
So it's a collection that they think dates from 13th century. I think that's right. And they feel that Chaucer might have actually read it. I'm not sure how they know that and had something to do.
Do you think that's just like that they think because it was popular at the time, he probably saw it? Or do you think it was like maybe referenced?
They said it's called the Auchinlecht manuscript, Auchinlecht, which might once have been read by Chaucer, whose Franklin's Tale is a Breton lay.
Yes, so this is just like we did the Marie de France last week. This is also a Breton lay, so in that same style. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently it survived in 3 manuscripts. So they're talking about this one being. I honestly don't know why they think. I guess they think that they can see it reflected in that Franklin's Tale. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, we'll see when we get to Franklin's Tale.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're talking the 13th century, and we're talking about a retelling of the original classical myth of Orpheus and
Eurydice. Yeah, which is when Eurydice dies and goes to the underworld, and Orpheus makes a deal that he can go back and get her if he doesn't look behind him on his way out. So he can't check back on her.
So, of course, what he does is, in fact, look behind.
And so in this version, it doesn't work.
Kind of scene. And this, the thing about this translation is that it actually takes that concept out, removes that, and instead replaces that tragic element with the happy comedic element, I suppose, where all right in the world and they end up back together again and they all live happily ever after. So
so it's a few things change in this version. It's also got the fairy element instead of the underworld. So instead of the underworld, she's taken off to the other world, the land of creepy fairies.
And it's certainly creepy, but it's not as horrific, obviously, as the actual.
But it's not death, really, I guess. Although it's weird. So the part where she goes, when he goes in there and finds her. There's all these men of people who are like not dead, but like kind of undead. They're like they're headless and they're missing limbs, and you can see all the things that killed them.
Have arms, and they're without heads, and they're all wounded and damaged, and it doesn't sound like a fun place, that's for sure. So I mean, but the part that talks about that fairyland or other world it's only one small part. So they don't actually really, it doesn't really go on in too much detail. It's just quite quick, really, because it's really
but it's interesting because there's all these lovely happy moments. There's a lot of harp playing. That's a big motif is his harp in throughout it. And like pretty imagery and happy things in the court and stuff like that. But then there's that section, and then there's also when she first starts with her lying under a tree in the garden, and then she falls asleep, and when she wakes up she has this like fit, this really violent fit. She's like scratching at herself, and what does it say? Well, I'm not going to say this is our version's in like weird original spelling. She cried and loosely began make. She fraught her hands and her feet. Do you think that's hands? Her hands and her feet. So she tore at her hands and her feet and crashed her visage. So that's scratched at her face. It bled wet. Her rich robe, she tore it apart and was ravished out of her wit. So she's like tearing at herself when she wakes up because she's been visited by the fairy king, and he's told her he's going to come and get her and take her to the other world.
Yeah. And that's pretty awful, isn't it? That's pretty harrowing. Yeah.
And then they king obviously is not happy about that, and he abdicates the throne, I guess, and goes in search of her when she does get taken, and spends 10 years living as a beggar in the woods.
Yeah, now that's dedication, isn't it? That is true dedication. But I was got to say, Rosie, it's interesting because it's really more about loyalty and honor and suffering. These are the themes, aren't they? I mean, that terrible suffering, and it's interesting. I think the whole class reference, it's really strong, because he's willing to kind of shed his actual kingdom, but his place in society. He's willing to shed all of that and
to go find her.
That's the most important thing. So it's this real devotion. Yeah. But the class thing comes into it, and it's written for an affluent audience, but not autocratic readers, apparently.
Okay.
So I guess that's because that's not the thing. The class thing is not the important aspect for him. The important aspect is reuniting with her, finding her for sure, but also that bond he's got with his steward.
The steward, I thought that was great. So very little time spent on getting her back from the other world as well. Like he plays the harp, the guy's impressed, then he gets her back. Like that's the deal, and it's done very quickly. Then much more emphasis is on coming back to his kingdom and breaking the news to his steward. So he says he is dressed as a beggar and he comes in disguise, which again we've seen that a lot in the previous stories and things from this time. He comes as a beggar to the steward, and he says that he found the harp that he is currently playing on the corpse of of like this guy who clearly, he's basically saying that he found the king dead and took the harp from him there, and the steward breaks down and gets all upset about it. And then that's like a sign of his intense loyalty to his king, that he was upset and not pleased that the king died. So he's not happy to retain control of the kingdom. He's devastated by it. And then the king comes out and says, well done, happy that you actually are loyal to me. As a result, I am going to take that kingdom back, but you can be my heir.
Yeah, absolutely. And he trusts him. He trusts the steward. That's kind of, I thought that part was really lovely, actually. I like that part.
You got those two relationships, the husband and wife, and then king and steward, that are really nicely described. The other bit that I thought was cool, because we've just done the lays of Marie de France, was I found again more of that white imagery that I was talking about last time in Lamballe, where the women are all in white clothes. So it says that they're all, when he sees the fairies, they're all on snow white steeds, as white as milk were their weeds, which their clothes. So their clothes are white as milk, and their horses are white steeds. And then the king is wearing a crown of silver and gold.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I thought language-wise, it wasn't hard to read, was it? Because
easier if you're reading it aloud.
You have to read.
I felt like a lot of it was quite like phonetically written.
And also, but it is very important, the rhythm, the couplets. I think that kind of drives you. You need that. So it's difficult I didn't find it at all, because the words also are not so far from our words, our language. Of course, that is that French connection.
Germanic.
So you can guess what the words mean quite
and our edition does have the what do you call this, the gloss next to it. You've got the words.
I just found I didn't read that.
Oh really?
Because I've gotten to the rhythm of it and I could get what was going on. I didn't kind of need it. I mean, I went back every now and again and looked, but I could work it out. So I like these couplets. It worked for me. And and obvious things like the use of antithesis, that's kind of a nice moving the pace along. I kind of liked all of that. Thought it was good, writing wise, language-wise. I really like the obviously the harp, you know, the imagery of the harp.
The music.
Yeah, and the centrality of that as a motif, and kind of that kind of bigger idea that of art as a kind of civilizing force. I kind of enjoyed that, and I enjoy the art. I mean, I enjoy that imagery is beautiful.
Yeah, and the fact that this is a retelling as well. It's nice to see how it has its like I guess chivalric spin on it.
Yeah, totally. It does. It does.
Much more positive.
Yes, yes. Much nicer than the idea of him looking back and, you know, being destroyed by that.
Yeah.
That's a nicer concept. Yeah, it's a lovely story. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because I always think of Orpheus and the underworld. I mean, I don't think of this story at all, this version. I just think of the horrible underworld. You know, I didn't know that this, I didn't know this existed.
No, neither. Definitely didn't know this was a thing.
It's a nice discovery, which we honestly would not have any idea had we not been doing our challenge.
The Norton.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, we're not on I wouldn't have discovered it, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, me too. So this marks the end of the Anglo-Norman period. So from next week, we're going into Middle English, so 14th and 15th centuries.
Yes.
Pretty cool. And reading Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Well, and now we're going to get into territory that's going to become increasingly familiar.
I think so.
Because, you know, this marks really the beginning of tales we know that have been appropriated, rewritten, turned into film. So this is going to be a lot, we'll recognise things a lot more readily, I think. So we won't be in for maybe some surprises, well, we'll
see. I mean, there's still there's still a few things coming up that I would not have known about, I don't think, if I had done the Norton. So, but it'll be a lot more.
I'm totally glad we are doing this, and because it is opening up things that I just didn't know about, which I think is really fantastic. I mean, that's the whole point of reading, right? That's actually the point. So it's been great.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we're actually a long way into this edition now.
Yes. So I've been working on the schedule, which we will be filming and releasing for everyone very soon. But I've worked out that we can actually finish this edition of the Norton by the end of the year. So we'll get through the Middle Ages by the end of the year, which I think is incredible because we thought it would take us years. It will take us years to get through the whole Norton, but
yes, this would take us much longer. So wow,
and I'm excited as well because I think the next period is going to be very cool with like Shakespeare and Marlowe and John Donne and stuff that's coming up in the next volume. So I think next year, 2022, is going to be a good year of Norton Anthology reading for us.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree. Can't wait.
Cool. All right. Well, let us know if you've heard of Sir Orfeo before this. If you've read it, did you have any thoughts on it? Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.